Gardner, Maine. It was the smallest area I served in. We only covered 5 towns compared to Ellsworth, where we covered an entire county. And so it was a culture shock. And we were just south of the capital, Augusta, and it was we were in a car share, and so it meant that we were constantly going up to Augusta and experiencing both areas. Gardner, Maine is very small town feel. A lot of people there have lived there for a long time. Most of the people there commute either up to Augusta to work at the state offices or down to Bath to work in the iron shipyards. And it's really cool feel, especially just all around. Like, it feels as if you're like, this is how you'd imagine small town Maine to feel like. I mean, it's weird though, because you see pictures of what it looked like in 1910, and you're like, is it me, or there are more buildings in 1910 than there are now? And there were, but it was amazing to see just the feel of it. And I mean, yeah, it was interesting, because in Gardner, Maine, it was my first area that I served for less than 6 months. I was only there for 3 months, but it was an interesting experience. My first week in Gardner, we had like 20 people at church. And I'm like, I just went from the Ellsworth branch, which is on the verge of becoming a ward, to the Gardner ward, which is on the verge of becoming a branch. And I'm like, what's going on here? And they're like, well, we used to be the flagship ward for the stake. And I'm like, what happened? And they're like, well, we had people move out. I'm like, you didn't have 80 people move out. And I started looking at the roles, and like, most people were less active. And I turned to my companion, like, we've got to do something about this. And so we dedicated our time to try to seek out the less actives, especially those people who had been ordained to the Melchizedek priesthood. I mean, I'd never seen so many less active high priests on a ward list before. And it was amazing as we started, seeking them out. And as we would pray and we'd ask God, like, we need to find these 10 less active elders. We were asked to do this. We need to find these 10 people. And we get down and we're like, we can't find the last 2 people. And we were walking down the street, and a guy pulled us over, and he was like, elders, I'm so-and-so. I live here. I just moved. You should come over sometime for dinner. We wrote down his name and his address, and he's like, I got to go. And takes off, and also look at his name. I'm like, that's one of those people we were looking for. He literally came to us. Or a member calls us up, and he's like, I had an amazing missionary experience. I was in a nursing home, and I was playing some songs for them. And one of the guys came up to me and asked me if I knew a song. I said, yes, and I played it for him. He looked at me, and he's like, is that garments you're wearing? And he's like, yes. And he goes, I've been a Mormon since the 70s. And he's like, since I've been in this nursing home for the past 4 years, I haven't been able to go to church since I moved here. And he goes, will you take me to church? And we're like, the member told him, absolutely. That was one of the other elders we were looking for that we couldn't find. We didn't even think to check the nursing homes for him. And it was amazing just to see these miracles. And in 3 short months, I think the last Sunday before I left for the next area, there were almost 70 people at church. And it was amazing as we looked around, and we're like, there are 10 non-members that were teaching here, and there were 20 less actives that we were teaching. And it was just an amazing feeling. And to have members of the ward come up to you and just like, you might not be dominated to a branch. And it was amazing to see the ward grow and to change. Since then, they've merged it with the neighboring ward, and they've become the Augusta ward. And it's really amazing to go back, because I visited there earlier this fall, and to see so many of those people that I taught who are still there, or people that I had taught who I had wondered about, to see that they had joined the church. Because Gardner was the only area I served in where I didn't see success as most people would define it. I thought it was successful, but most people define success as saying, oh, how many people did you get that got baptized? I looked in that area, and no one I taught when I was there got baptized. But I'm like, we helped so many less actives come back to the church that I view that as the same. But to go back on visit and to see people, and they're like, you've come back? Do you remember who I am? And I'm like, yeah, I remember teaching you a couple lessons. You got baptized? And he goes, not only did I get baptized, I baptized one of my friends last week. And you're like, are you serious? And just to see the people in that area having a desire to share the gospel and to be missionary minded, and the excitement and that continues on was really amazing. And Gardner is a very special place for that reason. And so I really enjoyed that. Real testimony builder of that any salvation, any part of Hastings salvation, whether it's baptisms or reactivations or temple work, is part of what you're supposed to do as a missionary. It's really cool because in the town, like their library was named after a famous poet and playwright there, Edward Arlington Robinson, and it was like a really cool experience because as missionaries we actually go down to the library and we learned the Dewey Decimal System and we like restocked all the books and the DVDs and all these different things, and it allowed us to like bask in the culture a little bit, because like when you're going upstairs and you start seeing pictures of like how the town used to look and the famous people of the town, you start to learn the culture of the people. They're a lot more receptive to you sharing your culture with them, because if you don't know who their most famous citizen is, why are they going to care about who you care about? And once you show that you care about them, they'll care about you. And so it's really cool, and that's one of the things that Gardner taught me.